Hi, I'm David Charlton, and this is Demystifying Mental Toughness Podcast. 5 minutes for a series of 10 episodes on a Tuesday for those interested in football or soccer and who want to play their best more often. Hi there, today I'm going to talk about a can-do attitude. I'm wondering, have you ever felt helpless about your situation in football? Perhaps you've got dragged down by external factors out of your control. Now, I've come across many footballers who felt unfairly treated by coaches, and it's gone on to terribly affect them to the point of low mood, anxiety issues, feelings of low self-worth, and, this can really spiral and get a lot worse in some respects. It can have a huge impact on their relationships at home and in their life in general. And what else can happen, certainly in a football context, is other things can spiral. So their effort in training or in matches can dwindle. It can drop unconsciously. So that's right, not on purpose, by 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, and so on. It just keeps getting worse. And then you come across a footballer who's actually only giving 70%. And sometimes the footballer doesn't even see this happening. They have no idea why. Now, there's an argument to say that this is because their focus is purely on external factors. That's right, the player focuses in on the coach's body language, the coach's every word, their behaviours, which links very closely with learned helplessness. Now, if we think of learned helplessness, we've got to go back to the 1970s and then research on dogs. That's right. On dogs. Research showed us that a lot of training was required to unlearn different behaviours, including helpless passivity. So to overcome this as a footballer, well, believe it or not, dogs are like us when it comes down to their feelings, their motivations and their emotion. So how are we going to get out of this learned helplessness state? That's what we're going to look at now. Well, firstly what you can do is you can recognise that you have power. And a lot of power. You can look to take some control over your situation, at least in your mind and with the actions that you take. When I think back to a client that I've supported in the past who was out of favour at his club, in his situation, his values were compromised an awful lot. And he felt his coach wasn't being honest with him and certainly wasn't being fair when it came down to the way he was being treated. I've seen this happen an awful lot. And it's not easy being the player nor the coach in that situation. Focusing on what he could do was the answer as the player. It comes back down to the controllables, as a lot of things do. In an individual sport, this can be a lot easier than in a team sport due to the team dynamics. And naturally, I think what happens in team sports also is that emotions can be heightened by the number of people that do get involved. A lot of people can have their say on a person's situation and they can turn a player's head. And all this does is make that feeling of helplessness worse. Anger, frustration, pain, suffering can get right in the way if we focus too much on these external factors. And you can get yourself into a really bad cycle. So how do you change this? How do you get out of this cycle? Well, I'd like you firstly to ask yourself, what is it about this situation that I cannot control? If we think about it, we've got the coach's values, goals, and communication style. Then you've got the people putting pressure on the coach that might influence his plans, tactics, selections, substitutions. You've got your teammates, you've got your friends, your family who can influence you by their strong opinions. Now, another really useful question for you is, what if I put all of my time and energy into myself? What could happen? Would you feel pride? Perhaps a sense of pride, which is a positive emotion, if you handled the situation in a different way. Do you think your friends or your teammates might respect you if you did so? If you concentrated on your effort levels, on your attitude, on your mindset. What about other people at the club or outside of the club? Your family, would they respect, again, your commitment to the cause, despite the difficulties that you have with relationships and the like. So personally, if you are on a mission to prove to yourself, nobody else, not the coach, not your teammates, not your mates, not your parents, just to prove to you that you are a good player, do you think you would feel better about yourself? And the fact, that you could make more driving runs, you could move better, you could press better, you could give an extra 20 or 30%, and maybe as well, you could smile, you could have a laugh too, you could be playful, not that straight-faced, angry and bitter player. You could communicate, you could demand a lot from yourself. You could also demand a lot from other people. And when you're looking to receive the ball, you could really show for it. Make yourself available continually, regardless of whether you actually receive the ball or not. All of these things you can control if you choose to focus that way. So yeah, some food for thought with those questions. And if you want to take it a step further, what I'd like you to do, and I'd encourage you to do at the end of listening to this podcast episode, is just simply to write on a sheet of paper or the notes section of your phone, number 1, your situation. Maybe it's like my client who was out of favour. Number 2, what can I not control about this situation? So write down all those things about your coach, your teammates, your friends, your family, the club, the weather, the way training's set up, all of those things. And then thirdly, and the hugely important thing is, what can I control? And then this comes back down to you, your attitude, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions that you decide to take. My last little bit now is, action that comes from inside you. It comes from your head, your mind. Nobody else can do it. Your mind is crazily powerful if you choose to use it right. So go on, take some action with your decisions and then with your body. It's really going to help you get out of this feeling of helplessness. Give it a bash. And also to empower you and to give you different ideas on taking control of your destiny and your situation, you might want to sign up to the X Factor, a regular newsletter that I've recently started, sending out to footballers, coaches, academy directors, managers and parents of footballers. It's going to help you learn an awful lot more about becoming a more focused footballer so that you can get the most out of your talent. Details are in the show notes.